Welcome to MI Magazine Presents Soul, a weekly entertainment show on fashion, arts and culture, mental health, relationships, travel, and food. Our weekly co-hosts are Carla Hill, Dr. Delvina Thomas, and Chef Irie. Now introducing our host, Miss Nikki Jellin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to MIA Magazine Presents Soul. So I am your host. I am Nikki G. Nikki says YOLO. Happy Hump Wednesday. We are here every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. So thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all been watching the news, and we have regressed within the state of Florida with the pandemic and with COVID. Cases have doubled. Florida has 20% of the cases nationwide. This is so scary because I guess I'm in a bubble, like most of us were in a bubble, but I really thought that we were making progress. I thought we were moving forward, but we're actually moving backwards. And, most of the cases, they're not vaccinated and they're younger. So y'all, please keep safe. Don't let your guard down. Do not let your guard down. Sanitize your hands, wear your masks, wash your hands, don't rub your eyes, don't rub your nose. Just please keep your guard up because we are not over it yet. And with that note, we have a very, very special guest tonight. He is a business owner, entrepreneur. He's a professional dancer and a celebrity choreographer. He has worked with artists such as Nicky Jam, Pitbull, Trina. He has worked on America's Got Talent. So I'll be speaking to the talented Ekandem Essiet in a few minutes. So stay tight, don't go anywhere. And now a message from our sponsor. So Soul is brought to you by the African American Black Alzheimer's Disease Initiative at the John P. Hussman Institute for Human Genomics, University Miami Miller School of Medicine. If you are someone that is experiencing loss of memory or have memory problems, or if you know someone who has those problems, please contact their research team for more info at 877-686-6444. Again, that number is 877-686-6444. Now, let's get the show started. So my first co-host, she is our mental health and wellness advocate. She's also the founder and host of the Brain Love podcast. So Dr. Delvina, happy Hump Wednesday. How's it going tonight?
Hi, happy Hump Wednesday. How are you, Nikki?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Are you ready to take the couch?
I'm always ready.
Okay. So tonight we're discussing dating, sort of how to find a good partner, how to recognize if someone is a good partner or a good dater or a good date. Sometimes we just don't know. We continue to go out with these people. In my private practice, at times I coach women, a lot more women than men, but I coach people in dating and relationships. And one of my coachees said to me the other day, she said, I used to go out on these dates with these people that were just like endless, horrible dates. And I would continue going on these dates with the same person. And I didn't enjoy him. I didn't enjoy spending time with him. I would just do it because I thought if I switched to a different guy, I would be considered a Jezebel, AKA, a bad word for a woman who's loose, to say it nicely. And that's so false. That's so far from the truth. Women should have choices just like men. I don't honor double standards. No one should ever honor double standards. You want to be happy, do what makes you happy, be healthy, and having a healthy dating life is essential in life to find your partner. How else will you find the person you're meant to link with or you're meant to be with for the rest of your life? You have to date, and you have to actively date. So let's talk about some of the traits that we should look for. And so when we can talk about good traits in a person you're dating that may suggest that they will be a good partner, a good person to be involved with. And listen, tonight's Hump Day. Tomorrow night is Therapy Thursday. On my Dr. Delvina Facebook page, I'm talking with Coach Jamal K. Atkins. He's a guy who's from Maryland, my home state, who moved to Africa about 15, 16 years ago to coach basketball and to empower the youth there. And he met a young lady who's also from Florida. They began dating over there in Africa. They were dating in Africa, country to country. And so he's going to talk about his story tomorrow night about the dating, how they met, how they began to date long distance in another continent. She lived in, she was in Tanzania and he was in Zimbabwe, I believe it was. So they were in two separate countries. And here in the United States, people are like, he lives so far. He lives up north, as in northern Florida, or he lives in another state, or he's up in Chicago or whatever. It's not a far flight. If you have trust, respect, and honesty, long distance dating can be your friend. Let me tell you. All right. So, Nikki, what do you think some of the top qualities are in a person and someone that you would be attracted to? What are the top qualities every single looks for? What do you think? Throw some out there.
Well, first of all, I'm moving to Africa.
Well, you and me both.
Okay, but a real note, definitely someone who is communicative. That's not judgmental, but open to communication.
Absolutely. Okay. Communication. Yes, ma'am. And so when they communicate, do you want them to communicate intelligence and seem like they're smart? And you like that too, right?
Well, yeah, no, but be yourself. Be your authentic self.
Yeah. They're authentically intelligent. So that's an attractive trait in someone who's single. People like people who are intelligent. What is something else you like from a person who's single that would be attractive to you?
I would say someone who's really ambitious. And
yes.
A go-getter. Yes.
Especially for you, because you're ambitious, you're a go-getter. You're not one of these stagnant type folks. So you need someone who's similar to you. They say opposites attract, but there are times you need to be, on the same page with certain things. Yeah. So what about commitment? Is that something that's attractive for people who are out here dating? I think folks are looking for some sort of commitment.
I think so, but I think it depends on how far the relationship goes. I mean, for me personally, like I don't just look into being committed like up front. It just takes time over time to see if it goes in that direction.
Yes, ma'am, you are correct. Look at you. Take it from me. Yes. That was a point to make next, that one of the things that's listed oftentimes in those top qualities of a single person is commitment. And so when we talk about commitment, we mean someone who's not afraid of committing at the appropriate time. You don't want to meet someone and then the next day, I'm sure this has happened to you, Nikki. It's happened to me before. You go out on a date with someone or you've seen them a couple of times and they're like, okay, I think we should just be together. Let's just do this. Yes, right. So, I'm running out of I'm running out of time on the couch. I'm going to add a sense of humor. I think it's important for someone to have a sense of humor and to be able to laugh. You want someone who can make you smile. Smiling and laughter is so essential to life and getting through your day. I mean, it's a grind out here. Life is it's not easy. It's a challenge. You just have to know how to manage those challenges. And there's so many other qualities. Just think about what quality is admired by you. What are the things that are important to you? And also be open-minded while you're out here dating. But ladies, especially, guys do this already, but I want to say to the ladies, don't be afraid to date, and have a good time, healthy dating. And just because someone is dating and you see them with different people, it doesn't mean that they're hitting the sheets, man. It just means they're out having a great meal together or having a libation. That's all I got for you, Nikki. Remember, guys, watch tomorrow night. Dr. Delvina here on, where are we? Yes, we're on Facebook, here on Facebook. And it will be on YouTube as well at some point.
Yes. All right. So Dr. Delvina, thank you so much. Good luck tomorrow and we'll see you next week.
Say brain love.
Brain love. And now on to my next co-host. She is our arts and culture connoisseur. She's also a public television host as well. So Miss Carla Hill, happy Hump Wednesday.
Hi, MIA Soul. Carla Hill here with your Arts and Culture Report. There was big news that happened in the fashion world this week. The world leader in luxury, LVMH, purchased a 60% stake in the Black-owned fashion brand Off-White. The founder of Off-White, Virgil Abloh, will now be one of the most influential Black voices in fashion as he adds new responsibility to his Renaissance career that includes currently being the creative director for Louis Vuitton's menswear. Now, Vogue reported that amidst the Black Lives Matter protests of 2020 that was sparked by the murder of George Floyd, fashion and beauty brands and the publications that cover them are being held accountable in unprecedented ways for their roles in upholding systemic racism. Customers and followers are demanding more than just words of diversity and inclusion. They want action, and so do the employees within these companies. With all of that said, the Black in Fashion Council was founded by Lindsay Peoples-Wagner, the editor-in-chief at Teen Vogue, and Sandrine Charles, the owner of Sandrine Charles Consulting, to address this call for change. They call it being a collective for change. Now, Forbes magazine recently reported that Nordstrom announced they're committing to delivering $500 million in retail sales from brands owned and operated by or designed by Black or Latinx individuals by the end of 2025. Nordstrom says they will be supporting their supplier diversity program, which will track and support diverse-owned suppliers across all areas of business. They are renewing this program, they say, and will publicly share the total program's long-term goals. Companies are realizing that representation matters. Last week, Tracy Ellis Ross was one of 3 new brand ambassadors named for Tiffany & Company. The storied jewelry brand unveiled its 2021 Tiffany Give Me the Tea campaign, featuring its 3 new celebrity ambassadors that includes Miss Ellis Ross. It's great to see companies like Tiffany make an effort, but let's remember that there are luxury Black-owned brands we can support. One of my favorite jewelry designers is the brand Mateo. The founder, Matthew Harris, founded the jewelry brand in 2009, and it's grown to be a go-to for jewelry for the Hollywood set. Now, it's great to see that we're seeing more representation, but it's even more important that we seek out our Black creatives and spend our dollars with them. So here's to Black and brown luxury in our lives. I'm Carla Hill. See you next time on MIA Soul.
All right, we'll see you next week. And now on to my next co-host. He is a private and personal chef. He's also on Taste the Islands on American Public Television. So Chef Irie, happy Hump Wednesday. What do we have tonight? Are you on?
Girl, looking good with that hair, girl. Lord, nice and food. Ooh, baby, what's up? Yeah, can I run my hands through your hair, girl? Salute, darling. Salute. Yes, happy hump day. Yes, I have some of that too. I have some water as well. So, libation hydration. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
What can I say? What do I have for you today? Well, it's still July. Hasn't changed. So that means it's still Culinary Arts Month. And so what am I going to talk about? Well, I say, you know what? Culinary arts, what does that mean? What does culinary arts mean to you, Nikki?
Oh, well, to me, cooking is an art. It's about how you put the flavors together. It's a special art. That's how I see it. It's just we eat that art.
Most definitely. Yes. So culinary, it's a special art. But to break it down, just to understand the different parts of culinary arts, so it's not just all about cooking, per se. So we have different segments, and we're just going to highlight them a little bit. And first, we're going to start off with garde manger. And garde manger simply means keeper of the food translated. It's a French terminology. So when you go, to your buffets, and your grand buffets, this is a great way for you to really see how things are broken down. Your salads, your charcuteries, your cold bar, like your oysters, your crab legs, and your lobster cook, and your shrimp cocktail, your pâtés, all of these make up garde manger, all the cold stuff, So your small appetizers, your small hors d'oeuvres, the ones that are nice and cute and, in the little cups and the little teeny martini glasses, and they're laid out nice, and, the display is wicked, and you walk by and like, oh my God, I have to have 4 of those when I come back, 6 of these. So garde manger, the keeper of the food, this is all the intricate, but the cold side of the kitchen, if you would, or the cold side of the establishment. So moving on from garde manger, we go to the hotline. Everything hot. So that means anything that's coming off the stove, the hot oven, or both. So on the hotline, you have different, different people doing different things. So most commercial kitchens in restaurants, you're going to have a saute cook, you're going to have a grill, you're going to have probably a fry guy, and you're definitely going to have someone making your salads. So garde manger is on your line now. And of course, maybe an expediter. Sometimes you have 2 expediters, an expediter that's on the side of the hotline, and an expediter to receive the food, make sure it's everything is there for the table. And so they will now, give it to the servers so that they now can bring, your food to the table. The hotline and the hot kitchen, different people are in the hot kitchen. And a lot of times, as you can see by, these 2 people up top, all kitchens are not created equal, meaning they don't all have the same amount of space. So sometimes you are in tight, cramped spaces with people, you're rubbing backside next to each other, behind, and oftentimes it can be very hot. Yes, a lot of these cool places in air-conditioned kitchen, but when you're on the hotline, it don't matter what kind of AC is in that kitchen, it is hot. All right. So yeah, your cooks are, make sure if you know anybody that's out there and they're line cooks, big them ups, but as chefs, in our business, we are always talking about the people we'll go to war with. These are the people we will go to war with, the people on the hotline. The other part of culinary arts, baking and pastry, so people who have an affinity for the sweet tooth over there. And then of course you may have, people who like, your breads and, stuff like that. So your sweet tooth could be cakes, couture cakes, or, your cool red velvet cakes, your sponge cakes, all of this stuff. So when you go to, when you go to the buffets, these grand buffets, and you see these really cute pastries, they're painstaking. They take a lot of time to make, all right? And most of us chefs, we don't always, a lot of us specialize in one or both, and so when you become a master chef, that's telling that you have the propensity to be successful at pretty much everything within the culinary arts. So baking and pastry, it's a huge deal. So when you see these lovely cakes, these are people who have, spent a lot of time specializing in making, this part of the culinary arts theirs. But don't get it twisted. Doesn't mean that if you're a cook, you can't bake. And doesn't mean if you're a baker or pastry arts, you can't cook. Because within all those fields, a lot of times they are intertwined and connected. So you best be able to know how to do both. Yes.
Right.
That's what I got for you, baby. Breaking down the culinary arts is still culinary month. So when you go out, eat well, eat lovely, and eat and enjoy. Have a drink.
So wait, how do you pronounce it again? You said it's garde manger?
Garde manger. It's
garde
manger.
manger.
The guard manager. So it's the manager or the keeper of the food. That's what it translates to. So right. Yes. So that's what we got for you, my dear. Yes.
All right. Sure. Enjoy your Wednesday, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
And now on to our special guest tonight. He is a business owner, professional dancer, entrepreneur. He is a celebrity choreographer. He's worked with Trina, Pitbull, Nicki Jam. He's worked on the BET Awards, America's Got Talent. He's been featured in Black Enterprise. So Ekandem Essiet, thank you so much. Maybe you can teach me some moves, some virtual moves tonight, you know.
Of course. I'm all for it. You ready?
I'm ready.
But
Hope
thank you so much for having me, though, first and foremost. Wait, your back's messed up. We can't have excuses already. Like, where are we going with this?
You just called me out. Okay. So let's get right into it. So yeah, tell us a little about your background.
Okay. First and foremost, I was born in Ottawa, Canada, and raised in Nigeria. My parents were in school in Canada, then we moved back home, obviously, after I was born. So I grew up in Nigeria, in Akwa Ibom State. We moved here when I was in about middle school. I moved to Miami. So coming to Miami, Florida is kind of where everything ended up taking off. That's where, if we're talking about industry-wise and in terms of the, the entrepreneurship and the dance world, that's where everything kind of took flight. So I came to Miami, Florida. I went to Miami Northwestern Senior High. Got lucky enough and ended up in college at a young age. So graduated about 14 years old and pretty much had a lot of time to get my life started. So
oh my gosh,
been a pretty good ride.
Very inspiring. And you've been doing this for nearly like 27 years. Wow.
Been dancing in industry for, I think, about 29 years, actually.
Oh, so, 29 years. Wow.
It's been a while.
It's been, and you look like you're still like in college. I mean, very youthful still. That's good. All that dancing keep you in shape. So
exactly. Dancing keeps you young.
It does. So what brought forth your passion in like the dance and choreography industry?
Supposedly when I was younger, while we were in Nigeria and I was growing up, I think I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old. You know how they have little projects in school that you have to take home to your parents, and it's what do you want to be when you grow up? And I don't remember this, but apparently I put something up in the refrigerator that said I want to own a lot of businesses so I can dance and do what I love. Oh. And, if you fast forward, give 29 years, obviously. So now what ended up happening was that I knew that the life that I wanted to live, the quality of life rather I wanted to live, might not necessarily be supported by just simply dancing. So I figured, let me go ahead and lay that foundation for what I do want and the quality of life I do want to live so I can actually do what I'm passionate about, which is dance. So in retrospect, that's what ended up happening. So the businesses, I think I got my first business when I was about 11. I was about 14. Now I get to do what I love every single day and call it work. Wow,
that fridge was like your vision board, right?
Yeah. And at 5'6", you don't know exactly how powerful words are, but I'm happy I said it. So here we are.
Exactly, here we are. So I mentioned earlier that we have regressed as far as the pandemic and with the COVID cases. So explain to us and describe pre-pandemic what your industry was like, and I'm going to ask you the question for how it is right now.
Okay, pre-pandemic, I pretty much describe it as free-flowing in the sense that obviously, if you're watching television, the shows are consistent, the series are continuous. There are always award shows going on, always music videos happening, always concerts to look forward to. There are always events, always television shows, always commercials. Everything in the entertainment industry is quite linked. So pre-pandemic, everything was consistent. It became to the point where it's been structured for decades. So we become accustomed to always having something to look forward to. In which case, that's what keeps your career fruitful and gives you that forward look. Not sure if I want to jump ahead, but obviously a lot of things got stopped. The entertainment industry itself kind of hit a halt. We kind of hit a wall during the pandemic. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the entertainment industry is so tied into so many different facets that when that takes a halt, it affects more than just who we look at as actors, actresses, the camera crew, the videographers, the dancers, the choreographers, the directors, the ADs. Everything that when you look around you on any given day, we're being entertained in some form or facet. So that's kind of what took a pause. Why? Because if let's say we have to be 6 feet apart, it's very hard for us to transition into a world where we're able to entertain each other without being around each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And so that's what ended up happening. So we took a multi-billion-dollar industry and we put a stop sign in front of it.
Yeah. So let me ask you, so pre-pandemic, again, it was very fluid, it was very free. So I'm guessing, I don't really understand the industry that much, but I'm guessing a lot of traveling, a lot of auditions
Yes.
out of state, you know, and again, a dancer. So I read like an article that a lot of dancers, they're 1099s. So they're like their
Yes.
own boss in a sense. Can you explain more about that?
Okay, so for a lot of dance jobs, unless you're doing a SAG project, which is our union, SAG-AFTRA, which is Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA is the American Federation for Television and Radio Artists. So that's our union for not just us, that's entertainment as a whole. So when you're doing those jobs, a lot of times they'll bring you on as an employee, which are usually for the major jobs, for films, for TV shows, for major commercials. But besides that, a lot of dancers are going to work as 1099s. Why? Because it's easiest for those agents to place you on multiple jobs. As an independent contractor, you're not limited to exclusivity to any one company.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in Florida, for example, Florida is considered a right to work state, in which case you can have more than one entity represent you at one given time.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of dancers are listed as 1099s, simply to be an independent contractor and give you that, the liberty to kind of pick and choose what you want to do when you want to do it.
Wow. So now with the shutdown, with the pandemic and the economy, what stories have you heard, or I'm sure they're close friends of yours? I mean, what has it been like, and what are you doing, I guess, to help combat that?
It's been pretty interesting. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of horror stories, or what I like to call them, because ironically, when it rains, it pours is what they say. So that's when your family's going through a lot. That's when you end up like not necessarily having issues in terms of where you live. You have car problems. You have like when it rains, it pours. So many different things are piled upon the pandemic itself. So what we ended up doing, another choreographer reached out to me because I get a lot of phone calls to help out a lot of dancers here and there. And his name is Leo Chavez, actually. He's another choreographer out of Miami. And he reached out to me and says, hey, is there any way that we can legitimize everything that you're already doing, everything that, he wanted to go ahead and do himself. So we decided to come up with the Miami Dancers Relief. So Miami Dancers Relief is a fund that's just geared towards providing for the dancers during this pandemic, which means for those that apply, once they reach a certain category, they have to go through kind of a test. when we talk about tests, sometimes it means that you have to fit the mold. So it's not necessarily about the mold; it's about the necessity. It's about prioritizing those that are in need. So once you fit the mold, so to speak, now every month they get like a check for $500. It's not $1 million. It helps out, whether it's where they live, whether it's just for food, just the amenities itself. So it's unfortunate that we can't cover everything that dancers need, but it kind of makes you feel a little better that you could at least help here and there, because that's the best that we can do as human beings, right? Try to help each other.
Of course.
So why not?
Yeah. And there's a GoFundMe page. How can we help or contribute to the cause?
Yes, we have the website, which is MiamiDancersRelief.org. So when you guys get a chance, go by MiamiDancersRelief.org. We have a donate here page, and we also have links on the page to tell you exactly what we're doing with the funds. We show you videos of some of the dancers that are being affected, some of the dancers that are being assisted. And, it's just a way that we can get. A lot of times we think about literally giving back, like taking what we have and handing it back to them. But sometimes giving back just means creating an opportunity for others to assist those in need. It doesn't necessarily have to be just us doing all the work. So we have to create an opportunity where we can all help each other, because quite frankly, I think that's how we get through anything, especially with the pandemic, kind of like what happened in 2020.
Yeah, and we have no idea what's going to happen with this pandemic, but places are beginning to open. There are more award shows, and I guess people, the shows are kind of being cautious in a sense, but I do see things opening back up, and people have gotten so creative as well, in a sense, as far as like artists and creatives. They've gotten really creative as far as performing and showcasing their talents. Are you going to say something?
I'm saying that's actually what I love about it. You're touching on something that we kind of, at the beginning of the pandemic, we kind of had a mass meeting with production, with a lot of the artists, with a lot of these companies, kind of figure out how we can move forward, because like we said, artists are part of the entertainment industry, so they took a hit as well. So now everything kind of moved into the virtual realm. Like, for example, you referenced the BT Hip Hop Awards. We shot that entire thing virtually, rented out a warehouse, and did everything in this one big, huge warehouse to air it virtually for everyone. Now it's a little tricky because you don't have the crowd, you don't have the same, joie de vivre that's around you. You don't, it's never going to be the same. But at the end of the day, we're still trying to provide that assistance, that entertainment for the common man, because that's what helps us get through the day. Our day-to-day is made easier by the things that entertain us, whether it's small, whether it's huge, whether it's on the computer, whether it's on a television screen. So, we try to make sure we keep that consistency for everyone else.
Yeah, and it's always something to look forward to because it makes you so creative. So it's like, oh, what are they going to come up with now? So it kind of keeps you on your toes.
I loved it though. I love the challenge.
So you're a businessman. You're super busy, and you're also the founder of B&W Entertainment. So what does that mean, and what's the mission behind it?
B&W Entertainment actually stands for Black and White Entertainment. So the company itself started because it was to showcase the black and the white, which means the part that the common man sees and what actually happens behind the scenes. So that's why I kind of put the Black and White Entertainment there. It's to play on words for the entertainment industry.
Oh, I see.
In so many words, what we do is we offer training for those who want to become professional dancers, those that are already dancers, those that are in the entertainment industry itself, by workshops, conventions, just classes, just things to kind of motivate you and to prepare you for a career in that. We also have consulting services, whether it's financial or career consulting. We do a lot of production elements, placements for those that are already in an industry, kind of, put them with agencies. We staff conventions. We put them in different locations, whether it's Los Angeles, New York. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Cirque, but we have traveling productions as well, which comes in. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that.
Oh, okay. Some people have heard of it, but not everyone has experienced it. So it's definitely an experience. So if you have it, check them out. It's absurd. There's so many different ones, but it's truly an experience to be had. We also simply provide information for dancers. We're tied in with Dancers Alliance and the SAG-AFTRA union. Prior to in Miami, SAG-AFTRA wasn't actually a thing. So it was just AFTRA was president of Miami. So at the time we were working with just AFTRA to try to make sure the dancers, the actors, the actresses, shows like Telemundo, Univision, those networks, that we provide for those entertainers. So I like to look at it like a one-stop shop for entertainers to create, to survive, and to thrive. So that's what B&W Entertainment does. However, just shameless plug, that is the entertainment facet of the businesses. There's also the healthcare agency that started in, I think we started in 1995 actually. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the nonprofit foundation, which is the Miami Children's Foundation. So I just want to make sure I bring light to those because we started that about 13 years ago, and that works in hand with the hospitals, the kids, providing education for healthcare. And I try to tie everything together simply because what we do is not just dance. Like, I do believe that dancers are we're the compilation of all creatives. Like, we're actors, we're actresses, we're models, we're movers, we're dancers. We're expected to be experts in creativity and entertainment. So for us to understand that, we need to showcase that we are experts in more than just the steps that we showcase on the camera screen. Sorry, I had to put that plug in there for you.
No, because I learned something new. Thanks for educating us on that. So we have a video that we wanted to play your reel. So go ahead, Aaliyah, and cue it up. Wow. Oh my, I'm so inspired to go on TikTok after this. No, I got like goosebumps. That's amazing. And you're the visionary behind that, which makes sense
Yes,
for W Entertainment. It's, you know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but we see a lot that goes on in the
exactly.
so wow, that
And
is
exactly. But thank you so much. I'm trying to keep a foothold on everything that we love, and try to make sure that we leave a footprint in the sand when we leave. That's pretty much it.
Oh yes. Now, okay, so again, it's been nearly 29 years. So what
Okay.
obstacles have you had to face in this industry, especially being a man of color?
Um, Now, would you like me to name one or just be broad about this? I'm joking.
Whatever's
So
on your heart, because we want to hear your story.
honestly, when we talk about obstacles, it's I think the first obstacle that I did face was myself, simply because I wasn't raised here. I was raised in Nigeria. So when I came here, there were a lot of things that I wasn't. My expectations were a little different, in the sense that over in Nigeria, we're obviously the majority. We're not a minority. So me growing up there and coming over here and realizing that there's certain obstacles that we're gonna face on a day-to-day basis, whether it's just our expectations being lower, our people not necessarily being looked at as being on the same wavelength as others. So it took a while for me to kind of assimilate coming over. And I think once that hit me, it hit me kind of hard. I think I was maybe in middle school. I was about 9, and I had my first experience in computers, because I kind of got into computer programming, and then I was told that it wasn't exactly an industry that was for that we would thrive in, so to speak, right? So I
Right.
was like, okay, plan B, let's find something else. Then I got into science, and I remember we had a couple of science experiments, and they were like, okay, maybe you should try. Aren't you good at sports? I think you play soccer, right? I was like, okay, well, again, I'm not thinking anything of this. I'm just like,
Yeah.
you're guiding me, right? That's what our expectations are. We're guiding me. So fast forward into high school and realizing that everything I was good at academically, I was being pushed towards the athletic side of things, which I guess in retrospect was great. It helped me physically. But mentally, I had now had to realize, like, okay, I'm clearly 14 years old, graduating, and maybe I might be smart. No one actually sits you down and says, hey, you're pretty smart. You might be able to figure things out, and you could kind of do whatever you want. So in terms of obstacles, I think it was the fact that the obstacles were placed in front of me. I didn't quite realize that they were obstacles until I had passed them, which was a kind of a blessing, and it was a blessing and a curse. A blessing in the sense that I think if I might have realized there were obstacles, I might have taken a step back. It might have affected my day to day, occurrences, the things that I did, the work ethic I put forward. So I'm kind of happy I didn't realize it was happening, but I know we all go through it day to day. Even now, when you walk into a room, my expectations are different, because number one, I am a man of color. Number two, I look relatively younger than the average 30, 37-year old, which is fine. But when you walk in the room, the conversation changes. I was always told that you have to have a certain mentality when you walk into a board meeting.
Yeah.
We all hear this thing sometimes where they're like, oh well, you. I don't want to be politically correct, but you know how they say, oh, you sound white today. Like, oh, use your
Oh
use your white
yeah.
voice. Use your. I'm like, yeah. So I'm
Yes.
like, oh, you mean I was speaking properly? I'm like, thank you for acknowledging that I had white voice, because apparently, men of color don't have proper verbiage. That's just not something we do, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely
so that's
relatable.
something we face exactly. So that's something we face on a day to day basis. I've even had, for example, when I reference the Miami Children's Foundation, because that was one of the hugest things that happened with it. That was 13 years ago. I was a lot younger, and when we walked in, there were a couple of older white Caucasian gentlemen. I'm sorry, let me be politically correct. And so there were a couple of gentlemen that when you walk in a room, by the time anyone's affiliated with home health or administrative stance in healthcare, they're usually about 60, 70, have had about 30, 40 years of experience. So here comes this 20-year-old kid that has had business for like maybe 11, 12 years and is walking in a room, they're not realizing that this is my company. So a lot of things that are said are being said on the side, I'm listening to and I'm hearing. And what I love is that some of them are Europeans, so some of them speak French, and not knowing that, Nigeria, that's our language. I was born in Ottawa and raised in Nigeria, so I'm understanding a lot of these things that are happening. And by the time I get to the podium to try to address them, and they get the introduction, and we'd like to thank our owner for being here today. Our number one shareholder, board director, we have Ekandem Essiet, and I come up, and their faces just drop. And the conversation's now changed. Now it's like, thank you for being here. We appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. And I'm like, oh, because you want that paycheck on Friday, right? That's great. So I'd say, honestly, the best thing that ever happened to me was not realizing that there were obstacles. But the worst thing that happens to us on a daily basis is the fact that there are obstacles. So I think the best bet for anyone, like the best thing to understand is simply that they're always going to be there, not just because we are men of color, not just because we are women of color, but simply because there's always going to be some kind of mentality by those that we can't control. The perception is everything. So if anyone believes that you should be beneath them, they will find a reason to try to keep you there. And the only way that you can ignore that, the only way that you can put that to the side and achieve whatever it is whatever goals you set out to achieve, is by realizing that you do have tunnel vision and that you need to work towards that goal. You cannot work towards someone's hate. You cannot work towards the dynamic they try to set you in. All you can work towards is your goal. Now, once you lose sight of that goal, you're now wasting time. You're now playing with the birds. We don't have time to play with birds, because birds are going to fly, drop around, come back around.
Right. And it's about having that confidence too. A lot of people, they're not educated. So they have that baggage from how they were raised and how they were brought up, and they're bringing on to other people without having the full mindset of being educated. A lot of people, they're very ignorant. And so again, it's about confidence, knowing your worth, entering that room, hold your head up high, keep it going. And it's, so.
And take it a little further.
Right.
I'm sorry, take it a little further than just not being educated, because knowledge is not education. Some people get that confused. I'm like, knowledge without application is an absolute waste of time.
That is so
education is understanding how to apply that knowledge towards a certain goal.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. And look at you now, right? Right.
Yeah.
So what is next for Ekandem Essiet? What's next? What's next?
What is next is actually
can you play
kind of what you guys can see behind me. Yeah, I'm like, kind of what you guys see behind me. It's I'm actually working on building a compound in downtown Miami in Wynwood area called the Hub, which houses like a production space, recording studio, content space. We look back here, it has a lounge, it has office spaces. So that's one thing. Then we also have a concierge company which is geared towards the dance. What I'm always trying to do is I always try to find future investments that not only, not necessarily building for me, because I feel like I'm comfortable where I am. Mm-hmm. I'm content, but still ambitious.
Right.
But my ambition doesn't extend to my pockets. My ambition extends to make sure we're all on the same level. Because if we're all in the same level and we're all achieving and we're all quote unquote millionaires, then guess what? We're all happy. Because a lot of our happiness is geared towards the finances, right?
Yeah.
So if we can get to that point where we're all financially sound, and then we can just find our own happiness and do what we're passionate about. So that's kind of what my investments are geared towards. It's like let's find a way to make sure we're all on the same level, and make sure that level is above board. Make sure it's above water.
And what is the timeline for the Hub? Is it like
the Hub is actually going to be here in September. We're actually in construction now. We went ahead and we found the building we liked, so we worked on that. The concierge company, the same here. We're also partnered up with, believe it or not, JP Morgan Chase, which was ironic. Yeah, the one place that I walked into was a 14-year-old kid trying to get a job, and they told me that's probably not the place for me, and I was like,
okay,
thanks,
well,
guys.
Now.
Yeah. So that's going to be amazing. So come September, October, a lot of different things should be in the works. It will be on the website, on BNW Entertainment website, which you guys have heard about. Please don't forget the dancersrelief.org, because that is my priority. I want to make sure everyone else is taken care of, because although we are on the way back to 100%, we're not quite there. So there's still people that need our assistance. So,
Yeah.
the more we can do, the better.
So what would you tell your younger self, and how old would you be? I mean, you graduated at 14, so I mean, but like, what would your younger self?
Honestly, what I would tell my younger self is be okay with the mistakes you're gonna make.
Yeah.
Because I think part of the struggle for me as a youngster, I ended up getting a double major in psychology just because I was going through a lot as a child. And obviously when you're that young in college, there are a lot of things you're gonna go through you can't really have a conversation with anyone about. So one major thing for me, and I think this goes for everyone, whether you're younger or you're older, is that you have to be okay with the mistakes you make. You can't dwell on them. You have to be able to move past them. Moving past them does not mean moving through them. It means you have to be able to walk away from them and go around them sometimes. It's genuinely okay. Because sometimes I used to get caught into the fact, like, how do I fix this? Not every problem has to be fixed. Some things just exist, not for you to fix it, but for you to realize that they're there and move on.
Wow. Wow.
And that's one thing I would tell my younger self, and it's not necessarily an age, it's something I still battle with today. And I think we all kind of go through it, is that we try to fix people, we try to fix problems, we try to fix situations. And the reality is your happiness is not within the problem. So why are we so focused on it?
Yeah, because we always say we coulda, woulda, shoulda, but we didn't. Or if I were to do it that way, would have ended up that way. I mean, we always kind of replay a different outcome in our minds. And it kind of messes with us in a sense. But you're right. Just if it happened, it happened. We just have to move forward and learn from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Easier said than done, but thankfully I'm older.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being our featured guest tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I do want to support, definitely. Entertainment is like, we live on entertainment. Like what you guys do, I mean, it's something that's needed, like in our everyday lives. And if we can do anything to help support and bring back that joy, bring back that, because what it does is it brings people together. Entertainment brings people together. It's therapeutic in a sense. It's an escape. It's an escape for us. So
it is. Because that's how you're able to cope and deal with your day-to-day hardships, is by being able to take a step away for a second and enjoy something. Like if you think about it, a lot of things that make you smile are either from entertainers or some form of entertainment. So I like smiling. I'm assuming we all do, right?
I think we all do. Yes.
Yeah. So, why not?
Well, I know I had to, let me get some water. So thank you for being our guest tonight. And we'll see you definitely on Instagram. We'll definitely visit BNW Entertainment, or it's bnwent.com. Everyone is scrolling at the bottom. So thank you again. Don't forget to support. It's the Miami Relief Fund. Again, there's a GoFundMe page. And again, what's that GoFundMe page one more time?
If you go to MiamiDancersRelief.org, you'll see actually it's right there. It's on the screen. You see donate here. Once you click that link, it'll take you to a page where you could kind of just, give what you can, not at a detriment to yourself, because we're trying to assist others without causing hardships from anyone else. So if you could only give $1, guess what? $1 goes a long way, because 100 people giving $1 just saves someone's life. Yeah,
it's a lot. Well, thank you so much again, and have a wonderful night. And we'll be seeing you soon at the Hub. That's like next on your plate. So
there we go. All right. Thank you so much. You guys have an amazing evening.
Thank you. You too. And everyone, don't forget, tomorrow's Thursday. So tomorrow is Lunch with Legacy Leaders with Anne-Marie Sorrell. Tune in on Facebook. Visit MIA Media GRP. Again, on Facebook, visit MIA Media GRP for tomorrow Lunch with Legacy Leaders at 12 p.m. with Anne-Marie Sorrell. And again, the show is brought to you by the SWA, Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County, and the AARP. Thank you so much. Happy Hump Wednesday. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. Bye.